Now, moving to news from further afield, Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed a decree approving the resumption of commercial air traffic between Russia and Cairo. The amended decree will only allow Russian flights to Cairo, but not other Egyptian destinations. The amendment also excludes Cairo from a clause recommending tour operators and travel agents to refrain from providing air transportation to Egypt for Russian citizens. Moscow grounded all commercial passenger flights to Egypt in 2015, and this was over security concerns after a Russian plane crashed in the Sinai shortly after taking off from Sharm el-Sheikh. Egypt has since boosted security procedures at many of its airports in response to Russian conditions to lift that flight ban. The downing of the Russian airliner dealt a blow to Egypt's tourism industry. Russians used to make up the largest single tourist group to Egypt, contributing to about a fifth of foreign vacationers. Well, CGTN's Adel Al-Marouki is keeping tabs on this story. He now joins me with more from Cairo. Adel, how has the news of this decree from President Putin been received in Cairo?
It has been very well received, and the civil aviation minister here in Egypt has welcomed to a great extent that decision. Of course, this has been already expected, particularly after Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to Cairo just a couple of weeks ago. He was here and he made the announcement that he will give the go and the green light for the resumption of the air transportation between Moscow and Cairo. Now, this is a very crucial step for Egypt, and the expectations are that we will start to see the impact of that decision by the beginning of February. That's when the Egyptian civil aviation is expecting the first direct flights from Moscow to Cairo.
And indeed, as you say, this decree only lifts the ban for flights going directly to Cairo. Will this achieve the desired revival of Egypt's struggling tourism sector, considering that it leaves out other major tourist destinations?
It's a big step. Egypt would not want to, this is what Egypt has been trying to achieve for very long. It's a beginning of several steps that will, at the end, include Sharm el-Sheikh and Hurghada, the main touristic destinations by Russians to Egypt. And just to put it in perspective, there used to be, or Russia used to compose about 33% of the entire tourism industry in Egypt. So Egypt used to get around 10 million visitors, from 10 to 12 million tourists annually. Russia's share is about 3.5 million in that. And that's a huge number. It's the biggest country, biggest tourist exporter to Egypt, and that's why the business depends on it so much. In the past year, with the Russian restrictions starting to ease up a little bit, on a year-to-year basis, the number of Russians who visit Egypt increased by 75%. It's a huge percentage, but when you put it in numbers, we're talking about 70,000 tourists. So this is how tarnished and how hard the tourism has been hit, from 3.5 million Russians to 70,000 last year, and that's 70% increase from the year before. So just coming to Cairo is a big step. It will definitely have a huge impact on the tourism industry, and it will definitely be the beginning of the normal resumption of touristic flights between Russia and Egypt.
Well, thank you so much, Adel Al-Marouki, live for us there in Cairo.